everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast. And back from assignment in Florida. That's what we said last week. Is Matt Shadow. Matt, glad to have you back, buddy. Did you have a good time?
I had a great time. It's hard to come back.
It is, isn't it?
But I'm back. Yes.
Getting back in the swing of it all, right?
I guess you can say that.
It is tough. I don't care. You almost need a vacation from your vacation, right?
Yeah, and it's, 85 and hot and sunny and warm in Florida, and it's 50 degrees and cold and rainy here.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's supposed to get warmer, though.
Well, yeah, let's hope so. I'm ready for
it. Bring in the 85 degrees.
Yep.
Let's get started today. We got a full array of information and topics to deal with today, and hopefully we're going to get Kevin Mulder in the show as well. He's probably out watching some baseball, and that's because that's what he does.
Correct.
And there's still some games going on early because of, I would say, some postponement, but the Troy tournament's still going on. There's Troy and Liberty were scheduled at 10 o'clock today, so they're probably playing right now. Parkway West versus Holt is the third place game at 12:30 out at Troy, and then CBC and Timberland. That should be a knockdown dragout.
I think that's a early stages show. That's a preview of a pretty good matchup.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
I'm hoping I can get out there and watch that. I don't know. We'll see what my schedule ends up being, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. But early on, there was some interesting out of that Troy tournament. Parkway West went 3-0 in pool play, and that was Troy Buchanan, Battle, and Hannibal. Battle went 0-3, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah. It's early, right?
Yeah, it is. You're right. And Pool B, Timberland won that one, which had Howell, Liberty, and Winfield. And to me, the surprising one is Liberty and how they lost.
Yeah, I think it's surprising because of the margins by which they're losing. Now, going into it, we said that for Liberty, hitting's going to be the question, right?
Right.
Hitting was going to be the question. Which, they haven't scored a ton of runs. And normally early on, it takes the arms a few weeks to catch up to the sticks, but they're not hitting early. I think they're trying to feel out the depth and the roles for the arms they have because they have a lot of them.
Right.
But yeah, for me, that's also a huge surprise that it's some of these games towards the middle end of the game, it's starting to fall off for them.
Because Timberland beat them 14-4. Hal beat them 8-1, and then they lost to Zumwalt West in pool play. In the last, I guess his pool play says it right there, 10-0, and that's what we're talking about. So even their pitching, we looked at Seth Bennis. He had a pretty decent line early on, but I think that's going to be an interesting watch. I don't want to get too far into that, but that's really interesting to me. That's the biggest take.
Well, in the Howell game, they were down 1-0 going into the fourth.
Right.
So, but it's right. It's for them. It's the pitching. You would think that they would at least stay in the game with their arms, and they're not, which makes me feel like they're trying to feel out what they have and the roles for everybody early on in the season. So, we could be looking late in the year and they could do a 180, but
it's true.
It's true. Right now, it's the surprise for me with that team that they're losing. It's not that they're losing; it's the margins at which they lost by to start the season.
I agree. Exactly.
That's the surprise.
And Hal has been up and down a little bit. We talked about they have a little youth, right? They brought in Naputi, transferred in. He's getting acclimated. They got Norfleet coming back from injury. They've got some kids, and even Coach Perkins alluded to that. They'll have to figure it out. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how progresses through this early part of the season. I think that could be a second half team, personally, second half of the season.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no one's going to count them out.
Nope.
But again, they're another team that they're not just like anybody that's in this Troy tournament. I mean, you're playing some of the better teams, right?
Yes.
So you're seeing what you got early on, and they, lost a tight one to Timberland, lost a tight one to Sackman, and then Winfield and Liberty. They, won decisively. So I think they're right there. I mean, they're right there in the mix.
Wow. And here's the other part of this. Pool C, Holt wins that one, goes 3-0. I didn't see that coming. I thought West would do that, but West lost to Holt in that first game. And Seckman, I have to say this because I've been talking about this. I left that game to go over and watch the Timberland Howell game, and Washington was up 8-1. Seckman came back and won that game 10-8. Seckman has some players, and that's what I was looking at. Now, Washington, the kid that started pitching, his name was Morgan Copeland. He was throwing strikes, not overpowering, but he moved the ball in and out, did a great job of keeping him off balance. Then their shortstop, Washington's shortstop, I got to find the kid's name, and I meant to do that and forgot. Sorry, but this young man is for real. He was smoking the ball. He hit one off that top of the fence there at West, and shortstop looked good, moved well. He's a player, and I think they're going to rely on that kid a lot, is what it looks like. Seckman though looked really good. That's a good baseball team. They've got some dudes over there. I'm interested in that one. But I was surprised Holt won that pool.
I mean, it's Holt's. I mean, we stated this prior. They have some senior leadership. It's just, can they ride it, and who do they have to? For me, at least, it's who's going to be on the bump. So, they won a tight one against Sackman, won a tight one against West, and then kind of broke it open a little bit against Washington, and then lost to Timberland. Again, it comes down to them. It's by the day 3 or 4, who's throwing, who do they have left. But kudos to them. I mean, they had a kid named Braden Edgar playing first base, had a couple home runs early in the season.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
They'll be fun. They'll be fun to watch.
Pool D, I don't think there's any surprise there. Francis Al Central had a good showing. They're 2-1, but CBC is definitely the juggernaut there. They put up, in basically the semifinal, beat Parkway West 19-0. And Parkway West was having a good, they were 3-0 too. So this is a battle of all the 3-0s.
Right. And, by day, again, you're on your 4th game.
Mm-hmm.
So
pitching could be a factor.
Early on,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they were probably at the back end of the rotation, back into the arms. But CBC's on a different level.
Pitching depth, right?
14-3, 13-1, 11-1, 19-0. It's I've said this since
the
end of last season. I said this is the team for the 22 season. And it's not like I'm going out on a limb here by picking them.
It's pretty thick
look
limb.
at the roster. It's loaded. That's an impressive high school roster.
Yes.
And I think that last we saw, I believe they're nationally ranked too. I think they have them.
I'd have to look.
I think they're nationally ranked.
We should keep up to date on that.
They are. I think they're nationally ranked.
We should keep up to date on that. I'd like to, because I think that could be interesting as that falls through the season.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
So anyway, keep going. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Absolutely.
I was going to say, because we're sticking with the Troy.
Yeah. Where
you have Timberland and CBC playing in the finals of the Troy tournament. Now, the big arms have already thrown. I can't imagine them coming back today.
You might get Yarberry.
You might get a guy or two to come back and throw a couple innings. But that's a matchup for me that I look at for playoff purposes and say, this is something to watch. See how this plays out early, and then late in the season, or you get into districts, past districts. How have these two teams changed? Because I foresee these two to play each other again.
Yeah. Because I watched Timberland. They beat Hal 6-4 the other day. Offensively, they did well. They were swinging the bats pretty well. They had, moments where they were driving the baseball pretty well. Yarberry looked good. That's who I saw. I didn't see Hatchman. But up and down, I think Timberland is as good a team as there is out there. Maybe not as deep as CBC. And that
no, but they've got a great 1-2 punch. And as we've always said, you got a 1-2 punch on the mound, they can ride you to the state.
It'll be interesting because I saw Yarberry on Saturday, and so it's Wednesday as we're recording this right here.
It would be a 3-day.
Because this will be out tomorrow. Yeah, we're talking about all this. We're talking today. So tomorrow you'll probably see the results of this. And we want you to comment below. Comment below. Put your thoughts in here because, Matt's talking about CBC. He's talking about Timberland here in this matchup. What are your thoughts on that? I think it's a very interesting subject. So please comment below. Hit that like button. Already smash it because it gives us better stuff on our algorithm. We love that kind of thing. But okay, let's jump in here. That's the scoreboard there. I think that's interesting. I don't want to spend too much more time here in just one respect, but I want to look down here at some of the Class 5 stuff because Zumwalt East is off to a 3-0 start. They're beating up on some people there. I think it's interesting to and South has jumped to Class 6. We'll get that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Jeff City is a winner there, 10-1 there, 10-4. But what's the class of that Class 5? And I think that's going to be interesting because we saw some changes as we go through this. I think this is one that's really interesting because, and we'll talk about this. St. Charles has moved to Class 4. North Point High School is Class 5, first year. Showing an 11-1 victory over St. Charles. So a brand new program. It'll be interesting to watch North Point, kind of their first year. They're going to be a little JV varsity. So, it'll be a little back and forth. And it'll be, I think, a little bit more into next year when they really start that full season. So it'll be interesting to watch how they progress. I think that'll be fun to watch a new program come into play and see how they do, right?
It's kind of like what we did for Liberty years ago.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it'll all be fun. St. Charles West got off to a good start, 11-1 victory over Windsor. Kudos to Coach Allen. I think they're setting themselves up to be really good.
They've got another good matchup with St. Dominic today. So that'll be kind of see where both of those schools are, I think, today.
And Dominic took the win. This is from yesterday. I'm looking at yesterday's scores, guys, or Monday's. These are Monday's scores. I'm sorry. These are Monday's scores. And Dominic beat Warrenton 6-5. East has already beat Dominic 3-2. So you've got some interesting stuff there. So I think it's going to be – I'm looking forward to the Class 5 around here, Class 4, Class 5 in these areas because I think there's some really good baseball teams there. I think it's going to play out pretty well. And when we look at the class structure, district assignments, I think St. Charles in Class 4 has got a road to the playoffs.
It helps them. 100% it helps them.
Because they don't have Blair Oaks in their district anymore.
Yeah.
And no offense, but Blair Oaks is just always good, man. They just really are. So, that was from Monday. Tuesday, we get into, we're Class 5 here. You've got Rolla, an 18-8 win. Lutheran St. Charles, 12-2 over St. Dominic.
Yeah, Lutheran St. Charles has they just played that one game so far. So yeah, I mean it's early. You got to give it a couple weeks to kind of let everything settle in, see where everybody's at.
Branson down in the Southwest, they're off to a 4-0 start. They beat Webb City, who's usually a perennial power. showing Webb City 0-2. Branson beat them 5-4. That's an interesting score, one to watch there. St. Francis Borgia is another one that made the jump. They're in Class 5 now. So I think that's going to be interesting. The score isn't on there, but it just popped up that way. And then, so that was yesterday. And of course, Class 6, we've talked about basically the Troy tournament, but let's look at a couple other things in Class 6. You've got, let's look down here. Vianney, 10-0 over Melville. Not surprising, right?
No, I think we discussed a lot of the Troy tournament specifically, but for me, one of the other surprises in 6A is House Central, because they're off to a pretty good start. Now they beat a good Troy team. They lost to CBC 13-1, but Wright City, they beat a good Wright City team. So I think House Central off to a 3-1 start for them is good.
Yes.
Because they have good players, and give them some confidence early on. I mean, they got a big game. They got a tournament coming up, and then they get into, April 5th, 6th, they play the Howe.
I like Coach Beckman. I think he's got a plan. He's been in. I really like him. I think that program's going to do well with Beckman.
Yeah.
I think he has a good understanding of what he wants to do with the program, how it's built. I think he's got a plan. I think that's going to be an interesting one to watch over the next few years, because I think he has it. He has it going in the right direction. Not that Coach Howard did a great job there. It's not. But once you, I think it's difficult once you've had that guy there for so long. A new guy comes in. Sometimes it's just hard to find your footing.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's difficult to always follow. Like, who's going to follow Coach Perkins?
Feel sorry for that person.
Right? It's tough. Who's following, this guy, the gentleman they've got that's going to follow Coach Krzyzewski? I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's true.
That's tough. That's just tough stuff. So let's jump into the classes let's go ahead and do that, because I think it's we've talked a little bit about that. I think we need to look at these because the district assignments are out. I want to start down in Class 4 a little bit because there's some interesting ones, and there's going to be some Class 4 is going to be interesting in the fact that, Kennett last year, who's going to challenge them? And one of the ones that pops up immediately, and I saw this when it came out, was St. Pius X out of Kansas City in District 15. Jumped to Class 4. They were Class 3, won it all yesterday. And last year, and I think maybe the reason why they did this is because they pounded everybody.
Right, and Kevin has them ranked 4th.
Yes.
In his preseason. Schools. Yeah, in the small schools. So that could be fun to watch. Make Class 4, I guess, a little deeper.
Right.
But yeah, we don't know how the matchups are going to be once districts are over, but you assume those two get out of districts.
You got Lafayette High School out of St. Joseph. They were in the Final Four last year as well. That's in District 16. One to watch there. Of course, Kennett down in the Boot Hill. They're going to be tough again. They're ranked number 1, small school. I don't see that changing. Valley Catholic in District 2. I think they're going to have a good season coming out of there. The one that is interesting in our neck of the woods, St. Charles High School, as we said, went from Class 5 to Class 4 in District 5 there. I'm not sure of some of these other schools. You may have a little bit more knowledge of that. Jennings, John Burroughs, Normandy, Priory, and University City is that district.
I don't know much about those, but I would, if I was a betting person, I would assume St. Charles would be the one to come out of that.
Okay. District 6, I think, really opened up for St. Charles West High School. Now, Bowling Green, I know a little bit about that. Not much. They've had a decent program up there. I know Justin with East played them a little bit when he was there. They look pretty decent, but Wright City, They could be decent over there. I think they got a pretty solid team.
I would say St. Charles West is the front runner. I think Lutheran St. Charles used to have a really good baseball program, and they've got some good players that are young.
Yeah.
That's a school to watch moving forward to see how some of the young. So some of the players that are on the younger side there, I would assume would be on varsity if they're not already at some point this year, or at least get a taste of it. So that's a school to look out for moving forward down a couple of years.
You're right. They've been good in the past.
Yeah.
They've had a few down years, and that's the only. But I think St. Charles West, because Blair Oaks was there last year, but I think they got a good road there. That's going to be interesting.
I think they do too, especially with Newell.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. District 8. There's Blair Oaks there. Fatima, or is it Fatima? I think it's Fatima. I think that's what we talked about last year. I don't know. Mexico High School. Now, here's the kicker. This is why I want to look at District 8. Because Southern Boone, I believe he has ranked in the small schools as well.
He has,
or in their top. It's in maybe the mix. Yes, no?
I don't see them, but
okay,
they might have been on his map.
Yeah, because we talked about Southern Boone last year. They had a good season. I think they've got some good talent there. And now you got Blair Oaks in that district, because Southern Boone came out of that district last year. And I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Blair Oaks is just tough, and they're there year in, year out. So, and that's kind of a look. I think the rest of it is pretty much, there's the other one, District 10, Logan Rogersville High School. That's one that he had in his top. I think he's got like number 1 or 2.
Logan's is number 5. Yeah.
Number 5.
Logan Rogersville.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
number 5. Mm-hmm. And then we had You had Springfield Catholic, which is a Class 3 school. But you had Kennett, Springfield Catholic, Class 3, Blair Oaks.
And St. Pius X. Mm-hmm.
So you got
St. Charles West, St. Dominic. They're all in that.
So and I think Dominic is Class 5.
Just St. Charles West.
Yeah. So you're talking a lot of Class 4 schools right there.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Let's move into that District 5 or Class 5, Class 5. I'll spit it out in a minute, bro. Here we go. Class 5, District 3. Locally here. You got up in District 1, though, Cape Girardeau, DeSoto, Farmington, Festus, Hillsboro. I don't know that much about those schools. I want to watch that a little bit this year so we can kind of get an idea. Yeah. Clayton over in District 2, Ladue, Lutheran South, Melville, Roosevelt, again, Vashon, Webster Groves. Webster Groves usually is pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah, they had a good win over the weekend. Which I know we were talking about that earlier, but I think that's an up for grabs one at the moment. Okay.
District 3, Chaminade, MICDS Pacific, Parkway Central. Parkway Central is usually pretty good, and I'm surprised because now Parkway Central's not in District 4. I mean, District 4, I'm gonna cross these two up because, I mean, District 4 was Southeast Parkway Central last year. Now, Parkway Central over in District 3, South, and we'll get to it, has moved up to Class 6. I mean, East is sitting there with Hannibal, Hazelwood East, McClure North, North Point High School, St. Dominic, and Warrenton.
Yeah, going into that, I would say East and Dominic will be the front runners.
I agree.
So it kind of opened up for him a little bit.
It did, didn't it? So. I think so. That's what I'm looking at. I don't know much about Hannibal. They were in that tournament, the Troy tournament. They went 0-3, of course, because, I mean, they're playing with some big boys.
Right.
But, I mean, the talent level and what East is showing, they've got off to a great start. The talent level they're showing, I think they could. They got a shot at that district. Finishing up over here with District 3, though, you got Rockwood Summit there. I think is the class of that district.
Yeah, Westminster is going to be good. They're going to give them a run. MSHSAA is, normally hit and miss, but I think Parkway Central, Chaminade, not really sure, what they have. They lost a couple big arms, but, they just split with Rockwood Summit. So, they'll obviously be good. But I think Westminster's, they'll be good.
Yeah, and they made the jump last year from 4 to 5. So that getting their footing, I think it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, they always have talent.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree. Here's another one that stands out to me is District 6. Glendale High School and Willard High School, the defending state champs. Willard is in there. Glendale had a great run in the playoffs there. Nobody thought they were going to come out of that. And now you got Branson, who we just saw, is 4-0. That district is shaping up, I think, to be pretty tough right there. You got the defending champs, Glendale, Branson. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, and Willard just beat Hickman 7-4. So they've got some good. Willard's got some good players returning. They're going to be good.
Yeah, I liked Willard. I liked what they did there. It'll be fun to watch that district, and I think we should keep an eye on the Southwest because I think there's some really good.
There's
baseball
a lot
teams.
of talent down there.
Yeah, down over here too. Still, you got Jeff City that dropped into Class 5,
which is crazy to think that because if you go back not too long ago, Jeff City was massive. The high school.
Is that
before
right?
you had Helias come in, before you had all these other schools come in. Jeff City used to dominate middle of Missouri because they pulled from so many places.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of having all 3 Howells as one school.
What?
That's pretty much what Jeff City was before you added the Helias and there's another school there, I think. I think they added maybe a couple Catholic schools or and then but
is it Capital City High School? I don't know.
I don't know. But they used to have so many kids that it was, the talent pool was insane, especially on the football side. It was crazy.
Right. Well, but
it's crazy to think that now they're down to Class 5.
Right. So. I think it'll benefit them this year coming off their run at Class 6 last year and a Final Four appearance. But here, St. Francis Borgia, good quality school, good baseball team. And you got Washington sitting there too, man.
Yeah.
In that district there. So you've got Helias Catholic, Jeff City. I'm not sure about Rolla, but I know St. Francis Borgia and Washington. That could be a really decent district to watch there as well.
It is. Now you've got, Kevin has Jeff City on deck. He's got MSHSAA, Westminster. They're all right there.
And Jeff City's in his large school, so that's
Class 5.
Class 5, so that's in there. So we're talking about all the large school
Willard's
stuff.
5 overall. So,
and that's pretty good for that school. Willard being ranked 5, he's got him 5, but I think it's legit.
They've got a lot of talent.
Yeah, they do, man. They do. So let's jump into Class 6 here and look at the districts here. So we saw a few surprises. I think it's interesting. So on Class 5, please comment below. Tell us what you think there. We'd love to hear what you have to say about some of these teams. And if you're watching and there's a team we didn't mention, because I'm sure there is.
There always is, right?
Because we didn't mention a lot of them. Share with us your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. So. And it helps our algorithm too. We appreciate that. District 1, that's those shameless plugs, bro. District 1, Fox, Jackson. And Jackson, I think he has ranked, correct?
Yeah, they're ranked. Yeah, he's got Jackson number 7.
There you go. Lindbergh, and there's Seckman, who we just saw do well in this Troy tournament. So that District 1 is kind of shaping up there pretty good. And then you also have Vianney, who's got talent. We'll just see how that goes.
Yeah, exactly.
So that could be a real fun district to watch, right?
I think all of them are when you get to Class 6 because there's only 8 of them. So,
and it's just good baseball.
There's only 8 of them.
But Jackson, I think, could be the one. Seckman, I want to see that, Jackson Seckman. I want to see that game.
Well, go watch them.
I'm going to. If they're playing. I don't know if it's – I got to check the schedule. District 2, the juggernaut.
It's a tough one. With your CBCs, your Lafayettes, your Marquettes, Parkway West. CBC is. I think if you're in a district with CBC right now, you're saving somebody for that game.
I think it's interesting because last year this district has changed because Marquette, Lafayette, and Parkway West took the jump to Class 6. Now that to me is kind of tough, but we'll see what they do. But you had Marquette and Lafayette in that district with Howell Central, and Howell North is now back into Class 6. But here, it's definitely CBC, but I want to see that more. I like Marquette. I think Marquette's got a really good, solid baseball team this year.
So does Lafayette.
Yeah. So I think that'll be interesting. Eureka's always kind of right there in the mix. It's a good district. And then you add Parkway West to that. I think that's going to be a really, really good district to watch.
Yeah, as most of them are.
Am I saying that too much then? So we should say, let's watch them all.
You watch them all.
There you go. I'm with you, man. District 3, DeSmet, Howell Central. And Howell Central, we saw they've had a good start. They're looking really good. Coach Beckman there. Howell North. I want to see how they, it's been a while since Coach Donohue's had a shot up in there. It'll be interesting to see if they're getting some talent back. Hazelwood Central, Hazelwood West. I'm not sure of the Hazelwood schools. What do you know about them?
I don't know much, but I'll tell you, DeSmet and Howell Central and SLU are probably the three that could grab a hold of that district. And anybody could beat anybody. And I mean, right now,
right.
I think DeSmet and Howell Central are the two that you really look at from District 3.
Okay.
That could change in 3 weeks.
It could. District 4, Francis Howell, Zumwalt North, and Zumwalt South. There's another one that jumped from 5 to 6.
Right.
I think that's always the interesting one to me, taking that next jump up because you're at the top of the heap in Class 5. Now you're kind of at the bottom of the pile in Class 6.
Well, this is the district that we discussed last year so much and it hasn't gotten any easier. So, you're looking, I think the big difference is out of last year, you have Zumwalt West, obviously, but you're adding South to the district, which is difficult, but just where Timberland is right now and where they can be by the time the playoffs start, this is a very difficult district to get out of.
I think,
remember last year when we watched that game with Howell and Zumwalt West for the district championship.
Right.
That was a great atmosphere. That was like a Final Four game.
It was.
And that was just to get out of the district.
I think you could see any number of matchups between Howell, West, Timberland, and Holt. Because Holt went 3-0 this weekend. And you look at what you just saw in that Troy tournament between Howell, Zumwalt West, Holt, Liberty, Troy, and Timberland. Liberty was the biggest surprise, not being able to score runs and didn't seem, the depth in pitching didn't really come to the forefront. So we'll see how that rebounds. West had their struggles, but they were 1-2 in this. Howell, 2-1. Timberland was 3-0. So Zumwalt North, of course, I think they went 0-3 in that respect. Troy Buchanan, I believe, was 2-1. So, you're kind of seeing that all play out a little bit there.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Zumwalt South does here the first couple of weeks.
I am too, because they're still a good team. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. District 5, Battle, Blue Springs South. Grain Valley making that jump from Class 5. They were in the championship game against Willard last year. And so Grain Valley gets the bump to Class 6. Could be just an enrollment thing. I'm not quite sure. But So now you're in that Blue Springs South, Grain Valley, Hickman, Rockbridge. I mean, that's not going to be an easy one either.
No, Blue Springs is off to a good start. They were 4-0 last I checked. Blue Springs South is also, off to a good start, and Kevin's got them ranked pretty high. They're number 9 going in. Again, 6A. They're all going to be tough.
Here's going to be District 6, Joplin, Kickapoo, Lebanon, Nixa, Ozark, Republic. Again, one to watch. That South, that's kind of reminds me of the Class 5 we talked about with Glendale, Willard, and whatnot. Class 6, that's the one you're watching down in the southwest portion of the state. I think that's going to be an interesting one. Kickapoo got unceremoniously bounced last year. So we'll see what happens there. I think that's going to be interesting. Ozark there as well.
Dix's got some talent.
Yeah. Nixa, I think when we talked about the rankings last week, that was one of the teams he mentioned. Nixa was right there. Kevin did. So District 7, Lee Summit North and West, Raymore Peculiar. I know he's got ranked in the top 10 with those with that pitching depth. Rockhurst, pretty decent, usually, yes.
Yeah, normally. So
it's a decent with the Lee Summit schools. It's a good district. Again, it's Class 6. That's what we're talking about. I think every district is showing its strength. And here we talked about, the last big one, District 8, I think matches District 4, Liberty North, Oak Park, Park Hill South, and Staley.
Yeah, I mean, Liberty North is, again, they're off to a good start so far. They're going to be good. You've got Liberty, Kansas City, which is the number 1 team in the state.
Defending champs.
And they got their top dog coming back on the mound. So
and
somebody's going to have to knock them off. But also, if you also you got them, but if you look at his rankings, the number 3 team is Liberty North.
Right. And that's the one he says, well, why? But Liberty's got Addison Smith back, the shortstop. That's going to be a knockdown drag out right there.
Now, the other thing to look at is those 2 teams right now they're off to good starts. That's a good rivalry up there too.
Absolutely, bud.
So
absolutely.
That's fun. It's gonna be fun to watch.
There's the class, the dish. We got some ups and downs, some surprises, some scoreboard. We're going to be watching this all week, all year. It's going to be a fun ride. We're going to be back next week. So we're not doing this live. We're doing it on Wednesdays, and it's taped, and you'll see it on Thursdays, just so everybody knows. That's so it might be a little. When we say tomorrow, you might be watching the score. But nonetheless, here we are. We're talking about it. Comment below. Tell us what you think about your Class 6 districts. What, if we missed a team, something that you might have, please, we'd love to hear it. Smash the like button. We'd love to know what you're thinking. That was good stuff. I think it's going to be a great season. We're looking forward to it, yeah?
Let's just get some good weather so we can get these games in.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be, I think it'll shape up to be good. We've gotten quite a bit of baseball in already, even with some of the rain and whatnot. And I guarantee you they're playing right now.
Probably.
There you go. So, hey dude, thanks. Good to have you back.
As always.
I know you'd rather be in Florida, but
who wouldn't?
Exactly. Right? Oh man. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and you hitters,
hit them where they ain't.
It's good advice, and we will see you next time.